Well, hi everyone, this is Caroline.
And this is Kurt.
And welcome to our podcast, The Business of
Christmas.
Well, we are super excited. As many of you know, I get a lot of visitors come over to Seasonscapes throughout the year. But today we have a special guest. It's Holly Witcher, and she is the Christmas manager for a company out of London in England, if those who don't know where London is. And the company is called Plant Designs. I follow them on Instagram. They do absolutely beautiful work. But Holly and her team are with us for a couple of days, kind of seeing how we do things here in the States. And she's 4 years into the industry.
I'm 4 years into the industry.
4 years into the industry. So
It's fantastic.
I said to Kurt, let's just record Holly and just kind of find out what they do in England. So we don't have any fancy cameras set up today. This is all done on an iPhone, so the editing and the appearance of the film may not be as professional as we normally do, but we wanted to take this moment to do that. So welcome.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. This is a really nice opportunity to sit with you guys.
I know, it was
Absolutely.
great. So Kurt and I've known the owner of your company for, oh my goodness, nearly 30 years, William. And then Kurt met Holly when we were in Frankfurt and we all had dinner together. And
We did.
yeah, it's, just build up this Christmas community, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's nice to kind of meet people that are so like-minded. And, I feel like in London, there's not many people that work in Christmas. So it's so nice to find people to, bond on this stuff with.
I know.
It makes such a difference.
Yeah. And since I met Holly, we've spoken several times
Yeah.
on the phone and all of that good stuff. Holly was explaining that, and I think we all feel this in the Christmas industry, that we're on our own so much. And it's not until you go to events and meet other people in the industry, you're like, you do Christmas too. You're in commercial Christmas.
Yeah,
So Holly is now slowly networking within the US market.
I am.
And has made you and I, Kurt, as friends. So, it's fun. But so basically Holly is spending a couple of days with us to see how we do things. She just spent 30 minutes out in the warehouse looking at how we do our tree toppers.
Oh, yes. I learned lots about the production process there.
Yeah.
Lots to take back with me to London. Very
So,
excited.
so for me, since I'm not there with you and the viewers, what did you learn? What did you guys look at specifically?
So a lot of it is to do with efficiencies. I know that Seasonscapes here is amazing with their efficiencies, and I think there's so many things that I can bring back to my warehouse for that. It's obviously timing work, certain ways of doing things with the tools you have as well. I think from just spending 5-10 minutes making this topper, I've already realised I think I've been wasting about half an hour
Wow.
of time trying to make a beautiful topper.
I wasn't out there with us, so who knew? That's
I know,
awesome.
this is it, but it's just being able to use what you have, using the tree to your advantage, using the branches to your advantage, to fix things in, make it look a certain way. Everything is wired and bendy, so there's a lot to work with, whereas we've been using cable ties, extra wires, all of this kind of stuff. It makes it quite fiddly. So I think just seeing how your team are doing it, I'm a bit okay, I've been doing it wrong for a little bit, but it's fine. There's still time to change it, and take it back to London.
And just for the US market, cable ties are zip ties.
Yes.
If anybody's
Yes.
cable ties, I'll be the
It
interpreter.
translated for me. It translated. I understood.
Yeah, I think there'll be a few things that you'll definitely be like, what is she on about?
I think what's interesting as I've got to know Holly is the challenges that having a Christmas business in London is like. Let's start with even just getting around.
Yeah.
A big city like London. And how does that work from an install side?
So for installs, it's not too bad. We have a warehouse which is about an hour and a half from London. However, it's an hour and a half traffic-wise, but actually it's only around 9 miles into central London. So it's just traffic that you get stuck in. We tend to use Luton vans and long wheelbase vans for our installations. I do kind of find that, there are a few roads around London that aren't suitable for Luton vans. We have loading bays that we can't fit in. That we have a lot of restrictions in terms of what roads we can go down now. London has really honed in on congestion charge and ULEZ. That means ultra low emission zones, so we can only send in certain vans that have a certain requirement for their fuel efficiency and stuff like that. So there's a lot of extra costs actually involved in just driving into London now before we've even done any work. And then a lot of our clients don't end up having loading bays because we are, we're going into their office and it is on a corner or something like that. They tend to offload on the side. There's no parking outside or no offloading. So there's a lot of things that we go through before we've even gotten to site. We have had some interesting things with loading bays before. Our vans won't fit and we're there with 20 trees to offload on one site, and then we all have to get them onto trolleys, get them out. There's always it's always fun and games. There's always a new challenge every year. But yeah, transport for London is a huge thing.
You're obviously building pricing into that, because we've talked about on other podcasts how don't forget, make sure that you charge for everything, drive time, all of that. So you're really having to pad that pricing out because you have so much unknown, right?
Well, that's it. So it is built into the price already, but then we also do charge per tree. So we only tend to charge when someone wants a specific date with us. So if it's a weekend or if it's Friday or a Monday, which are generally our busiest times. During the week, they can go for a week commencing date, which allows me to have the flexibility to put them anywhere in the week. However, with London, and I think since COVID, you find that a lot of offices tend to have a bit more restrictions in terms of their timings. So sometimes they're not, you can't go in the afternoon on a Friday because no one will be there because they finished early, or, none of their team are in on a Friday. We have certain clients that we can only go into their loading bay from 10 till 12 and 2 till 4. And if you're within their loading bay from 12 till 2, you get stuck in their loading bay and you're not allowed to leave because of the restrictions in the area. So there's a lot of challenges to go through with that kind of thing.
Wow. I mean, I know that we have to set appointments and things, but nothing like that. That's a whole other calendar.
Absolutely.
Just to park a vehicle.
Yes, absolutely. And then
that's crazy.
Even if we do manage to, if we don't manage to get parking, I mean, it's the risk of saying, right, okay, we're just going to get a ticket and that's the price we pay. Luckily, that kind of gets calculated into things. We have a certain amount of budget that's put aside for that stuff, but it's still something you want to avoid already.
So I'm wondering, Caroline, as we've been talking about costs, and as Holly just mentioned, the additional cost, have y'all looked at the comparison of what a job in Austin we would charge for, or a designer would normally charge for, versus what you do in London, based on all the criteria you just mentioned that you have to charge for, all the different emission standards? Okay.
This is Holly's first day, and she started to look at some pricing, and we've had a brief conversation. I think we're going to get into that deeper tomorrow, but it's very hard to compare. It's not apples to apples, because now we're going to talk about the other challenge they have, which is storage. So let's talk about, because there's so many questions I want to ask, right? So first of all, tell us about where you store because this is hilarious, where you store your Christmas stuff out of season. Where's it stored?
So our Christmas stuff is stored on a pig farm I get told off for calling it Swindon. It's actually just on the outskirts of the Cotswolds. There is a pig barn right next door. You hear them doing all sorts whilst you're just there trying to unload stuff. But we have a lot of challenges with the fact that it is literally a barn. There is no toilets there, no nothing. It is very useful for, we are only there for 6 months of the year.
So it's just storage, right?
Plain storage. No one goes there for 6 months of the year. So I understand the reasoning for it to be nothing fancy. However, obviously that does have its limitations, its location already, because it's on a farm. Finding crew to help you in that area is not that straightforward. With London, obviously you've got so many events, crewing companies. We've got a lot of freelancers, a lot of students in the arts and stuff like that. So crewing in London has never been a difficult thing for us. However, crewing out towards where it is in Malmesbury, which is it's closer to Bristol as a city.
It's probably about a 2.5 hour commute for the US viewers.
Got it.
Crewing out there is just almost impossible. because it is on a farm and there are all the animals there, lots of rats, all of those kind of things. It's not a straightforward way of doing things, but we've made it work for the past couple of years. But I think, as we grow, it is becoming more of a thing to think about for the future.
So because of the storage, they have to buy their trees without lights because they found that the critters were chewing through wires in the barn.
Yeah.
And so now, Holly was telling me a couple of hours ago, they have to light everything. So
on site.
it blows my mind when I think about the labor on that.
Yeah, so labor is one of our highest costs. It's something that I work really hard to bring down. However, I think just being the market that it is and the designs we have already, it is hard for us to reduce our labor because our clients have already seen us work on site. They like the experience of us coming in, us putting up the Christmas tree for them. They really like to see all of the hard work that goes into it. We are one of the more expensive Christmas suppliers in London, and I do think our designs show that and prove that. But I also think, having a presence on site for a certain amount of time is something that our clients really expect from us. So that kind of, gets tied in, but the labor cost on that in itself is.
So you're creating a magical experience because you're bringing, just so our viewers understand this, they are decorating on site.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like some things you can do.
So we will start creating our garlands, and we call them rings, but they're wreaths. We start creating those in August in our warehouse. They are the only things that get pre-made, and even then, that's a very minimal amount of stock that we actually work with.
Yeah.
When it actually comes to trees, everything is done on site. Everything is just, you have 4 plastic boxes of your decor that will go to your 7-foot tree. That gets sent along with the tree, and then we have a team on site that will meet and put it all up for our clients.
Wow. So do you get your customers getting excited and then the staff coming in taking pictures?
I have people call me all the time asking, oh, I know they're coming in today, but can you tell me what time? Because I just want to be here so I can see it happening and see the magic happening. And I'm like, they'll be there at 4:00. Santa will be arriving. The elves will be bringing in the Christmas tree. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So yeah, people do really, I think, especially in London, people like to see the start of the season. And I think seeing their tree go up in their office is really the start of that for a lot of people.
And when do you start? Because over in the States, we have managed to bring Christmas installations earlier and earlier and earlier over the years, which gives us a lot more time, right, Kurt?
Yes, it does.
So when do you start installing?
So we will start mid-November, and then
that's so late.
Yes, so mid-November, and then we'll be done by the first week of December. So we have 3 weeks to put in everything, and then we have around 10 days to take everything out, because everyone wants everything out before the end of the first weekend in January. So the times change each year depending on where the weekends fall, but generally, it's about 3 weeks.
We have 7 to 8 weeks.
I know. I'm so jealous. The more I speak to people, the more I find out that, this isn't normal to be, this crammed in this much. So we end up doing around 250 installations within that time.
Wow.
And for us, I think someone explained it really well to me, and it's like doing an event, like an actual event production job, doing 250 of those in 3 weeks. And I just sat there and I went, this is why I'm so stressed that time of year. It makes so much sense. And it is, it's a crazy amount of work to get done. We have so many freelancers that support us and work with us, and we're lucky that we get people that return each year and really help on that side of things. But yeah, it's a bigger operation to make happen.
Yeah. So one of the things that Kurt and I often get questions about is about staffing, because staffing is really hard for our industry in the States, right, Kurt? So
yes,
you
absolutely.
Kind of touched on a couple of things which I thought was interesting, and I don't know if we could ever use that, but you talked about art. So tell me a little bit more about where you're pulling these temps in from.
So previously we have actually used a lot of people with more warehousing experience, more people that are more manual in their like a labor kind of job. And in actual fact, we kind of found there was a happy we were better off going for more of a creative side when it came to recruiting. So actually there was a lot of students that were looking for extra work and those kind of things. We have a lot of art colleges,
Wow.
design colleges, those kind of things. We've put stuff up on student bulletin boards, stuff like that. We get so many people through each year, and I think for us last year especially, there was a writers' strike in the film industry.
I remember that.
So
yeah.
we did incredibly well at getting a load of prop makers, people who normally work on films, set dressers. They all came our way, and we could offer them like a solid chunk of work for a month or two. And that kind of tied them over within the time that there was nothing else going on, because the film industry in the UK kind of shuts down in winter. So we did really well last year, and luckily we've managed to keep a few of those people on, and they want to work with us again this year. But I have to say, the film industry, we have a lot of florists that work with us as well, because our designs are very floral based. A lot of florists work with us, and then art students. There's a lot of art students that really, I think people find this as a way of kind of just putting something on their CV. Like, they don't necessarily have the experienced art side of things and creating things, but they just want a job. They want to get involved. They want to meet people with similar interests. Like, it actually really goes hand in hand. It's only a couple weeks that we need them for something great to put on their CV so that they can start looking for jobs in those kind of industries.
And they generally have a good eye, and that's the
Absolutely.
key. When you walk away from a job, you've got to have somebody that goes, okay, that's balanced, that looks good. We don't have a gap on that tree, right, Kurt? Because
absolutely, you got to have that ability to look at that and balance it.
Yeah, that eye for detail is so key, especially like we have to trust so many people to put up a lot of work very quickly. Normally each day we'll have about 100 freelancers out in London.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll get
that
through.
Is a lot. That is a huge crew.
Yeah, it's a massive crew. It's a lot of people. It's myself and someone else will manage them throughout the time that they're with us. But it's, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. There's a lot of just stock we need to move around the country most of the time, just from our warehouses, just to get it into London. So yeah, it's a huge operation, but finding the right people to do it is key.
If you don't mind me asking, what is like the going rate, like bottom to high, for hiring those temps? I'm just interested. I mean, we can't really compare because it's completely different, markets, countries, but I'm just wondering where that runs.
So when I first started, I was a team leader, and that was around £11 an hour.
Okay.
So I don't know what the conversion in that
what is that
would be.
Well, it depends on the market.
$15,
maybe
about
a little
15,
bit less.
sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So myself and our COO both joined on that pay rate and really realised how much work goes into this, and we didn't think it was enough. And so we worked really hard to be able to give people much better and hope that we could get really good quality candidates. So now we actually pay £18 an hour.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Which is probably about $23, $24.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a very good rate.
That is a very good rate.
It is. You know what? I think the proof is in the pudding with that kind of thing, because we get such high quality candidates now that I'm turning people away. And to be in that position when it is such a high stress moment that I can just call someone up and say, look, someone's backed out, can you come join me for a day? It's so nice that people are really willing to do it, because we pay well. You only work an 8-hour day.
That's it?
Yeah.
Now, is that because of the laws?
No, that's because of my scheduling. So when I first joined, I was doing 20-hour days, and I don't think it's right to do that. We were all burnt out, and you burn out very quickly. It's 3 weeks non-stop. So then my first year we kind of tried to just be better at scheduling, schedule less jobs, those kind of things. But however, the jobs still come through. There's still a lot to get through. So in actual fact, last year we started a 2-shift kind of patterns. So we have a morning team and an afternoon team. The morning team do 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and then our afternoon team do 12 o'clock till 8:30 p.m. And for us, that really allowed us to go, right, okay, if we'll put all of the hard jobs in the morning, And sadly, that is harder for, the morning teams to get that started, but it always meant we had another van leaving. So all of our vans left our warehouse at 7 o'clock in the morning, but we will have another van leaving from our warehouse at 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning about. So, if there's anything that those big jobs and those teams are missing, or, something's incomplete, we can send it out on a second van. We know it's not a waste of money because that van is going out to do other jobs, which are the slightly smaller jobs. But it also meant the team in the afternoon, because the jobs are slightly smaller, we could split them off to the morning team if the morning team were overrunning, and they needed support to get that job finished. Because I think for me, I don't mind if we don't turn up on site that day and we have to call up a client and say, I'm really sorry, we're going to have to come in tomorrow.
Yeah.
I just don't want to go and do a half job for someone and then say, oh, I don't have this, I'm going to have to come back tomorrow. But we've already started putting up your tree. For me, that's
and it's
good enough.
No, and it's so expensive to do.
That's it, exactly. Yeah. That's it. So having a 2-shift pattern really helped us kind of hone in on just making sure we were maximizing the amount of time we are on site with our clients. And because we don't do overnights at the moment.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No, we would do them if the project really needed it. However, most of our clients can be quite flexible to let us in at a certain time.
Okay.
So it works best.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Just so different, So the other thing that we've talked about a little bit this morning when you first were over here was availability. So, Kurt, I mean, like, as a vendor, not as a vendor, well, I am a vendor, of course, but also somebody that buys from vendors, I didn't realize how spoiled I was. So, if I need something extra that I haven't ordered, like earlier in the year, I've got people that I can get online with an order. Okay, Holly, tell us about, if you need stuff now, where can you go and how does that happen?
So,
and how many people do you have to choose from?
I have one UK vendor.
One, people, one
UK vendor.
And
even then, the last order I placed with them was in July, and it's just being delivered now. I don't believe I would be able to order from them now. And even I actually only use them because my normal vendor didn't reach their minimum order quantity when I placed my order in February, and they didn't let me know till May. So by the time it's May, I've missed my buying season. I thought I was done. And then so I've had to go to a higher cost vendor in the UK with interesting customer service. But yeah, so it's been a bit of a learning curve for me. I think looking at going elsewhere, going to China potentially, is definitely on the cards just to make this happen and avoid this in future.
So what does that look like? For me, the question I was going to ask before you started explaining when you were buying, who you're buying from, is, do you start in January? When do you start your buying, and what does that look like?
So we are really late to the game, and that is changing. But we normally start buying at the end of January to place our order for that Christmas in December. However, we are now going to go buying this December for December 2026. So we want to get 2 years ahead, just to kind of avoid any issues we might have with stock and supplies and, transport.
Right. Sure.
But yeah, it's been a bit of a learning curve. And I think I've kind of put my foot down now. I don't really want to be caught in that situation ever again. When I'm scrambling to find some decent ornaments or something that is suitable.
So Carolyn and I know where I think you source that product, but for those people that don't, that are listening and watching, where do you source? What does that look like? If you start in December, what does that look like? And in January, what does that look like? Who are you going to source that product?
My vendors.
What is there an event you're going to? Is it Christmas World?
So I do go to Christmas World. I do go to Christmas World every year. I go to a supplier actually called Edelman. This is how we've always done it in the company.
And where are they based?
They're based in Holland.
Okay.
They are, I believe, just outside of Amsterdam, in a place called Gouda. And they have a beautiful showroom. We saw them at Christmas World in Frankfurt this year. But yeah, they're a great place to go for finding trends, feeling inspired. I think personally I'm only going there this December just to get an idea as to what I actually want. I may not actually choose to go with them, but I think they're a really, really amazing space to go to just to understand the trends, understand, what you can create. I think it's quite hard to get inspiration sometimes when you're so in it and you're so in the chaos of Christmas, and then you've got to think about, oh God, what am I going to buy for 2 years' time?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
What trends are you seeing in your designs as well? What are people
That's a
asking
good
for, or what are you
question.
trying to
That's a good
what do you tend to
question.
do? I mean, we've moved from operations down to more design based questions, but I'm sure we can pop back to the design if you'd like to. But what does that look like? What's popular? What do you do a lot of? What are people
So
asking for?
for us, most of our clients, because they tend to be corporate, they always want a tree. We can't really sell them too much modern designs. We do have a few clients that ask for more sustainable options. So we have actually purchased more these large paper like origami trees, which they've sold really well this year. However, as a stock item, I'm unsure how long they will last. So that's a bit of an interesting one to deal with this year. I was saying to Caroline earlier, also dealing with, are they actually going to have the impact that we want? Because they don't have lights on them. They are just paper. So, they'll look beautiful in a reception office during the day, but at night they'll just be quite dark. So there's that kind of thing. People love a bit of sustainability in the UK. We've got a lot of bans on glitter and those kind of things coming in the next couple of years. But I think for us, London is very much so still about traditional Christmas. Everyone loves red and gold. Our red and gold themes sell out so fast. We have one called Nutcracker, which is very lavish. It's got a lot of beautiful ornaments that really look handmade. And it sells out within a matter of weeks. And I've actually, before I came here, I spent the last week designing a brand new red and gold scheme because we've sold out so much already that it's a bit of a no-brainer. Red and gold is, I think the red, especially when it comes to London, like everything London is red, like buses, post boxes.
I know, yeah.
It's just
telephone boxes when there's still a few around, right?
It's a really traditional colour, that bright red. So everyone loves the red scheme.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for me it really is the red and gold. We do tend to I would have thought it would have been something a bit simpler, something a bit more sophisticated to go with the style of buildings. However, no, everyone wants to go full on Christmas. If you think about Home Alone, kind of that huge Christmas tree in Home Alone, that is the look.
Yeah. You touched on the word sustainability, and I know I was doing a presentation on trends in the summer at a big conference, and I actually showed, with your permission, a couple of your photos where people had said they didn't want to bring PVC plastic in, and you had designed some trees made out of like wooden, like fruit crates almost.
Absolutely.
And what we'll do is we'll pop some, with your permission, we'll pop a couple of photos so people can see that. But like, I just thought how creative you were with listening to the client's needs. Like, Holly, you cannot bring a PVC plastic tree in here, but we want something to look like a tree. And she literally stacked up these beautiful, almost like vintage looking fruit and vegetable crates. Yeah, which we have in England. I don't think they have those over here, which is a shame. It's all plastic. And she piled them up and she put the green, I can't wait for you to see the pictures because it was just so creative. But, coming in, you just go, man, that is just sustainably
it's
such a
really
great idea.
Look.
Yeah. Sure.
There are a few clients for us that really hone in on the sustainable side of things, and those are the ones that tend to want to choose more of a bespoke option with us as well, because they want to overtly put it out there that they are sustainable in their buildings and their offices. So these kind of designs are a bit more of an interesting way to do that. And we are bringing in more and more designs like that. Now there is definitely a market there. It is slowly growing for us, but we also have these large, giant triangle frames that we dress each year. Then we end up putting foliage on and hanging.
They're kind of like this. and it's like a frame,
Yeah.
just like that.
And people just love putting them in their windows. We light them up. You know, I think there's a lot of good options coming out there now. Right at the moment, we have to fabricate them all ourselves. So we've got a really good production department that can do that. But yeah, sustainability is definitely on the radar in the UK market. Hopefully it'll be coming to you guys soon.
Well, fortunately, I don't think it's going to be coming to us for a while.
You know what? I think it makes you think outside the box of Christmas, and that's what I really love about it. It makes us just reevaluate what we're doing, even in terms of the ornaments we use. Like, can we use more paper ones, more wooden ones? I know there's a lot of fire regulations and stuff like that. What kind of limitations that brings? Yeah, I think it's an exciting time to be a part of it, but there's a lot to think about.
Yeah, for sure. And I know I'm looking at the time and thinking, man, we could probably be having this conversation for a couple of hours. I don't know where we are on time, but you know, the thing that I'm
we're about 30 minutes.
Okay, the thing I'm almost thinking about is maybe like interviewing Holly when we're at Christmas World and getting her like English point of view on European trends. Because, you know, we see that when we go to Germany and we don't see things.
We'd love to
come to the US and then maybe having another podcast with her, like a debrief after the season.
So Holly, I'd say that we are seeing the sustainable option. I covered this week in a presentation I did at the Dallas Market Center, and we are seeing paper. I'd say it's more in consumer use than in commercial use. And Carolyn and I were thinking, how would you even use this? I would suggest lighting them with an uplight, an LED uplight, but I don't know if that even works. You're going to cause shadows and some other things, but I think a creative way to light it would be useful, absolutely, as far as a solution. I can see that working well, but I mean, they're extremely popular right now. And the consumer market. I don't know if that's going to translate into people buying them and using them, but they're in market. They're every showroom you go into, they have the 6-foot tree, or they have tabletop items and then hanging ornaments. That's huge. And I saw a lot of that at Christmas World. Kelly and I both did, but just handmade Christmas ornaments that were paper. Small vendors.
Me too. I think
small really vendors carrying that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's almost like artistry, the paper ones, because you really see like they are art to me. Like they're beautiful. They're almost like origami.
Absolutely. And it aligns with the DIY and the crafty things that are happening in the US, that trend. And that's where the paper is. That's one of the reasons why it's popular as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're right. I think you'll see more like the whole micro light thing, you know, that is starting to get a lot more popular now. We first saw it about 4 years ago in Germany, and now some of the showrooms are carrying that. And I love that micro light look. I think it's like really, really bright, and it's just something different to the regular lights, you know. So, it's kind of exciting what we're seeing coming over here. Unfortunately, I don't ever see glitter being outlawed like it's going to be in Britain. And like when Holly told me that first, I was like, no glitter. Oh my goodness.
Honestly, maybe 20 years. We have to. Right?
So ours is going to come through, I believe, by 2030. There will be a complete ban on microplastics being sold in the UK. So everything will have to be eco glitter, which basically means it's got to be biodegradable, or it can't be under a certain millimeter, because then it's considered microplastics. So it'll be interesting to see how that fluctuates the price of ornaments we're being sold in the UK as well.
For sure.
I think there'll be a lot of change, and it might have to change the way that what we choose to go on our trees, and how we design things over there.
Yeah.
Which
if we could look into a crystal ball for 10 years down the road, right? So
we definitely want to at Christmas World. We definitely want to talk about drilled and wired ornaments, like
for sure. Yeah, for sure. We haven't even talked about that this afternoon.
I know, but that's going to be a topic for next time, because we definitely want to cover that, because I know that there's a number of people that do not use that in Europe, and we talked about it on a panel today. It's a time saver. It's extremely important.
I didn't know about it until I met you, and it blew my mind. I actually just bought some from a UK supplier this year to kind of see.
Fantastic!
How it all
You're gonna love it.
But we bought drilled ones. But I've seen people, have the caps glued on, and then put into clusters. I've seen a few different variations on it, so be interesting to see how they fare.
And for those who don't know what it is, basically you're buying the ornament, with the wire already attached. So, and it's already glued. So there's nothing, you can just
Yeah,
take
it's
it
drilled
straight.
through that cap. It's drilled
It
through the
is.
neck of it and the
Yep.
cap. And so it's not going to
Yep.
pop off.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the way forward. Well, Holly, thank you for your time. I'm so excited.
So much.
I'm going to cry when she leaves tomorrow because
I think I might as well. Right, I'll be back. I'll be back.
We,
She'll be
we
back.
love having this
I have too
opportunity
many
to hear
questions.
No,
about the differences, and I definitely want to be looking at costs too when we talk in January. Like, what is that difference? It's more of a curiosity.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we're not going to be subjected to it, but I mean, in the metropolitan areas like New York and some of the larger cities, they do have that issue, but I think yours is particularly more. I mean, it's more expensive. I think just because of it's London and it's more congested, and just the fuel efficiency of your vehicles alone and that changing and that cost is just going to impact the whole company, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But you use those same trucks in your plant business, correct? Your servicing
Yes.
business.
Yeah, we do. We hire.
So they have a dual
people.
purpose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody. I hope you enjoyed Holly and watch this space for
Oh yeah.
guests, more people, and Holly coming back in 2025.
Oh yeah.
So, take care,
Thanks
everybody.
again.
so much. Bye.
Bye.